Hi everyone. Now I will talk a little bit about Unit 11. So Unit 11 focus on the industrial standards and compliance in facility management. The core objective of this particular chapter is on the main goal of adhering this standards to ensure safety, quality, productivity, and sustainability across the various industry. So based on chapter 10, we talk a little bit about safety and the compliance side. So particularly for chapter 11 is the standards, industrial standards. So what is industrial standards? Industrial standards is basically written to ensure that the industry for this particular sector in the facility management complies to the regulation and of course the lessons learned that was previously brought over. So with that, point number one is DFM, which is designed for maintainability, which is why the buildings are designed from day one, and future maintenance should be made as easy as possible. So the benefits for doing the integrated DFM is on the planning stage, which will drastically reduce the downstream maintenance cost and minimize the manpower. So for example, if you design something well, then the maintenance down the road will be easier. For example, if you design that, hey, only 4 screws is to hold a certain fixtures, then when you don't want to do maintenance, you just remove the 4 screws. But if you didn't design well, it is like 8 screws or it's blocking certain part, then there's more time spent on maintenance. So design for maintainability, TFM, is one of the key. And with that, there's 4 principles that you probably need to remember. Forecast of the maintenance impact, providing proper access for inspection, minimize the maintenance intervention by using quality materials, and of course enable simple maintenance through standardization. So these are the 4 key principles. So practical for this is basically on the M&E system, meaning to say that for example, like headroom towards a walkway should maintain at least 15 mm from the working space. So that's one point on design for maintainability. The second point is on security and accessibility. So security, you have heard on chapter 10, but on security standards, it requires certain things like zoning for CCTV, and then of course some computer-based management system. So with that, security also need to provide like barrier-free accessible, which allows universal design or design for people to be able to go into the particular system for accessibility. So inclusive of this particular environments becomes very important. So the other third point I want to share is the structural integrity and environment sustainability. For structural inspection, sometimes we call it SI. By law, it has to undergo regular checks like public housing, structural inspection for every 5 years, and residential requires every 10 years. So that becomes a standard for built environment. And of course, the other piece is on sustainability measures. So like minimum green mark will need to be submitted for existing building, and this involves submitting periodic energy audit. So we talk about structural inspection, sustainability measures, and then we'll come to the fourth point, which is the indoor condition and comfort. So indoor condition or comfort will be like lighting, noise control, and workplace safety. Right, so for lighting control, for example, like some of the offices will need to have minimums of 500 lux. The noise control should be office should be about 45 decibel, okay, and then of course for worker safety, the sound pressure should be not more than 85 decibel for an 8 hours workday without hearing protection. So this is basically what we are going to share or learn in the standard side. So a few standards you probably need to remember. One is ASHRAE standards. So ASHRAE standards talks about the standard of heating, ventilation, air conditioning, ensure that energy efficiency and indoor air quality. Second is your ISO standard. ISO standard, which means it's International Organization of Standardization, which provides a various management system to ensure quality and safety. Other stuff like ADA, American with Disability Act, so make sure that we actually access accommodation with some of the disability to promote inclusive environment. Other standards that will be important will be like the green mark standards, three other important Singapore standards that we always will learn will be SS530 is a code of practice for energy efficiency standard. SS553 more related to air conditioning, mechanical ventilation, indoor air quality, and SS554 mainly on the quality of air. So to ensure that they are essentials for the facilities managers and we need to ensure that they are compliant, safety, sustainable in the operation itself. So with that, in summary, to wrap up, industrial standards and compliance are not just legal checkbox. They include universal designs, which has some strict maintenance to our system, and these codes, right, or standards are the backbone of safety, inclusivity, high efficiency for facility. So thank you for your time. I'm happy to take any questions that when we meet. All right, thank you.